The Samsung Z Fold 3. The phone that retailed for a whopping $1,800. This phone is a repairman and a clumsy person's absolute worst nightmare. Why? Because when you break it, you're pretty much screwed. The repair parts for this device are insane. The screen replacement on its own costs, wait for it, yeah, it's absolutely nuts. Thankfully, there is a solution, and it involves buying one that's cracked one way. Ah, that looks messed up. And buying another that's cracked the other way. This one has a good screen on the inside, which is actually really cool. This one cost me $120 Canadian, while this one cost me $500 Canadian. The goal is to basically use one for the other so that I have a working Z Fold 3, and then I'll put any parts left over onto the other phone and sell that one for parts. Money. A refurbished Z Fold 3 costs anywhere from $800 to $1,200, so this is definitely more cost effective. But how easy is repairing this device, and can anyone do it? Let's find out. Phone 1 is locked to Xfinity network. The inner display is completely broken, but the outer display and the actual housing look pretty good. Phone 2's inner display is in amazing condition, I mean pristine. The outer display is cracked but still functional, and the overall housing is a little bit dinged up, but everything still seems okay. Of course, we do have to dig a little bit deeper to make sure all that is true, because sellers on eBay tend to omit some details.
Hey, what are all these holes?
These are speed holes to make the car go faster.
Oh, yes.
I'm shocked at how clean the screen actually is. Oh, there is one dead pixel right over there, which kind of sucks, but I mean, the screen is in perfect condition, so I'm still happy, but that guy's getting a bad rating. We'll turn the other one on. If you're ever buying a Samsung device, this is how you test them out. So on both phones, we're gonna head to the phone app and we're gonna type in *$0*0*. This is Samsung's test menu. So we're gonna go through all the basic functions of these phones and make sure everything else is as described, aside from this annoying little dead pixel. This lets you test things like the screen, the vibration, the touch, the cameras, the speakers, the microphones, even down to the gyroscope and Hall IC. So aside from that one dead pixel, everything seems to be okay. We can take this front display and replace it with this one. After we do that, we're going to install this front display onto number 1. The reason we're doing that is because we can still sell this phone for parts. We'll go ahead and cook both of these Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3s. Kind of scared to cook them because the inner screen is plastic and heat and plastic don't go well together, so hopefully everything is okay. We'll start off by removing number 1's front display. This is actually a really scary thing to do because you can't use your typical suction cup tools like you usually would, because if I were to do this, slide that in there, first of all, it doesn't fit. Second of all, even if it did, it would literally just unfold the phone. It wouldn't actually pull on the front display. So you have to do this old-fashioned using a suction cup and some plastic prying tools. Hopefully I don't break the display, because this will all be for nothing. While I'm prying, I have to basically make sure that the card doesn't go too deep, because if it clips the actual OLED, well, then there's no video to make here. So far, this is actually kind of tough. I'm gonna let this heat up for a little bit longer. Let's try this again. There's a small window between removing it from the heat plate and having that adhesive still soft enough so that my plastic prying card can go under the display. It seems like a good entry point is actually where the earpiece speaker is. I feel like it's a little bit risky, but there's already an open point there, so this is actually really scary. Those bezels are not that big. We'll use our heat gun to make sure the screen is still nice and hot. We're making progress. There's a bunch of gunk coming out of the phone while I'm prying. That's kind of nasty. There's a fly running around the office, so anyway, back to prying. So we're almost inside the phone. Just got to be very careful here. We'll use some more heat. And I'm going to use my favorite tool, Sorry guys, but I gotta use my nail on this one. Once you have one side pretty much open, you can just apply even pressure, and it seems like the screen is finally coming off. What the hell did Samsung do here? That glue is nuts. There we go. Is it still working? Yes, it is. Thank God. Now we can just remove this bracket. It's not screwed down by anything. And we're going to go ahead and turn off the phone before we remove the screen. There we go. Now that the phone is off, we can just unclip that display. And holy crap, that was way harder than I initially expected. Now that we have the display off, we can see the little pass-through for the proximity sensor and probably the ambient light sensor. This screen is insanely fragile. You can see just how thin it is. So my card was literally touching the screen, but I wasn't pushing too hard. Otherwise, this would literally break. Let's put this aside and begin prying on our second Fold. This is the one with the working display, and we had it on the hot plate for quite a while, but there appears to be no damage to the actual interior display, which is good news. Thank God. This one was so much easier to pry into. Despite the screen being broken, the adhesive was fairly worn down. We left this on the heat plate for much longer, but I think honestly wear and tear got to this adhesive. For those people who think that their phone is still water resistant or dust proof 2 years after purchasing, I'm sorry to tell you, but that's not always the case. Sometimes the adhesive wears down, and prying into the phone is as easy as it is with this one. And now we can do the same thing. We'll remove the broken OLED and we'll bring the other working phone. So there we go. We have both of the front displays removed. That was incredibly difficult. Now it's time to do the swap. So what we have to do before we do the swap is actually clean up all this gunk and adhesive. So we're just gonna quickly, first things first, we're gonna apply the broken display. We're just gonna evenly spread some liquid adhesive. The only downside to this adhesive is that it is kind of messy. So in the description of the listing, when we do sell this, we are going to disclose that this has been repaired before. Now we can reconnect the broken display, seal the screen down. We're going to clamp it down. Now we have to install the working display onto the second phone. Once we get this done, we pretty much have the Z Fold 3 at a quarter of the price. So if anything goes wrong here, well, I'm gonna cry myself to sleep tonight. We tested everything and this phone works perfectly. This is my brand new Galaxy Z Fold 3, aside from the little tiny dead pixel. In total, after selling this phone, which we probably will get around 200 Canadian dollars for, given the other listings available on eBay, we got this phone for only, wait for it, $420, which is a great number if you ask me. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to support me by purchasing one of these beautiful blue mats. This will up your repair game and make your life so much easier. You'll never lose a screw again. Speaking of screws, check out the brand new Unscrew merch. We got mugs, cases, sweaters, all sorts of stuff. I'll leave the link to that in the comments. And there's one more thing. Look at how beautiful that is. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and yes, if you want to get a foldable the easy way, this is how you do it. Peace.